अलाव नाही आहे फोन नाहीतर लेक्चरच्या आधी सगळ्यांचे मोबाईल काढून देणार रैंक सांपड़ा चुकी और कौन सा और कौन है पीछे में पोदा है पोदा एपीजे क्यों है प्लीज रैंक सांपड़ा तो पोदा है अजून कोण है अदर ये पूरा रैंक है तुझे गायत्री का लेक्चर मिस झाले सगळं रेग्युलर चाललंय ना साथ आएगी का मी आलं ना तुला तू त्या दिवशी बोलला ना वेलकम सेशनला गेलेला तू तर आयडी कार्ड तो तुला नाही मिळाला
इधर मिला था मेरे को
तू भूल गया होगा
वो इधर नहीं इधर पढ़ा
कुठे तुझं
इधर
असं नाही पाहिजे सर्वांनी आहे मैं थोड़ी बोल रही थी घर से डाल के आओ एक बार कैसे पेस्ट करने से पहले आपको पहनना ही है ओके मारा दूसरा निघायच्या आधी सर्वांनी मारा मला एक बार पण नाही ना पहिले पहन तब यस I do it every day. It's an obsession with me.
No one.
Storage. I work in the price like what is it?
Good evening again. Okay, so we will continue. Where did we stop?
Autotrophic has two types.
We were talking about autotrophic, the two different types, right? So we were talking about autotrophic, photoautotrophic, and chemoautotrophic. Let us talk about heterotrophic. What are the different types? Now, for heterotrophic, the different types would be, number one is holozoic. Holozoic. Number two is parasitic, and number three would be saprophytic. Let us try understanding at least one or two examples for each. So we are talking about the three major methods. What are the characteristics and how are they different from each other? Just try to understand. If I talk about holozoic, what are the features? Holozoic features are examples. If I write, I should write examples. Remember, amoeba, single cell organism, that is also holozoic. What else? I may talk about a fish, holozoic. I may talk about human, holozoic. Now, the examples are all contrasting. I'm talking about amoeba as an example, and I'm talking about human as an example. A very simple organism and the most complex organism. But there must be some features common between these two groups of organisms. So I may talk about a bird also holozoic. I may talk about a small fish also holozoic. I may talk about the hydra also holozoic. Then what is the special feature, or what are some common features between these group of organisms? What is the meaning of holozoic? You know?
Digestion and then excretion of food.
Come again. That's the major feature. Major feature क्या है? Number one, they should be able to take in parts, pieces of food inside the body. The hydra does so. Amoeba also does so. The fish also does the same. The bird also does the same, and human also does the same. The method is different, but they do so. And what else next? The process of digestion is inside the body happening. So, what are the two major features that you should remember? Holozoic. Such and such organisms are holozoic. Explain. What should you write? You'll have to write your answer based on these points. So, holozoic. These are organisms holozoic. So, what should we write? The organism is capable of taking in. The organism can take in parts or pieces of food, or even the whole food. We can take in whole food also, no? Certain type of fruits, certain type of animal food, an organism can take it in full. So parts, pieces, or whole of the food is also there. And what is the second point to always remember? We are talking about holozoic nutrition. Digestion takes place inside the body. Digestion takes place inside the body. If these are the features, the body should be well equipped to digest, break down the complex food substances that the organism has taken in. So in case of amoeba also it is the same. In case of the fish and the frog also it is the same. In case of human also it is the same. So what are the two major features I am talking about? Digestion is inside the body. This is a very, very important point to remember. Organisms are holozoic only when the digestion is inside the body taking place. And yes, the organism can take in parts, pieces of the food. Examples, remember. Now we talk about this. Parasitic mode. What is the meaning of parasitic mode? Now, for the parasitic mode of organisms, Let me talk about some examples. I may talk about the liver fluid and say suppose the camel and the sheep and the goat. What else? I talk, yes, leech and maybe human. What else? I may talk about the roundworm, ascaris and okay, human again. Very good.
Can I say ticks?
Ticks, flea, the fleas and the chicks also, hair, lice also. Okay, now what are we trying to understand here? Here we are trying to understand this is an organism dependent on this organism. This organism is the host, this organism is the parasite. So what is common in all these three organisms that I've written? The liver fluid, the leech, the tapeworm, the ticks and the fleas and the hair lice. इनमें सब में common क्या है? Common?
Parasites are dependent on the host for the
Host. तो common क्या है?
They depended on someone for the
हाँ, common क्या है? Dependent है. Body features में common क्या है? They don't have a well-defined digestive system. They are not capable of digesting the food, and that's the reason they are always dependent on the host body absorbing the already digested food. This does not have a digestive system well developed, this and the ticks and the fleas and etc. 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 All these organisms, they don't have a well-defined digestive system. They may have some tissues, organs. They don't have a well-defined digestive system, and that's the reason they are not able to take in food. Procurement and digestion, ये पूरा process cannot take place inside their body. So they are not able to digest food, take food on their own, but only they can depend on remain in the intestine or on the outer surface of the body, or remain attached to the skin or the muscles or here, there, etc. Somehow try to take in absorbable nutrients directly from the body fluid, blood, if I say. Clear now what I'm speaking? Parasite and the host. So now in each of these cases, the host is a living organism. In each of these cases, I talk about the sheep and the cattle and the goat, or I talk about the human and the poultry. Any organism I talk about, all these organisms commonly known as what they are all living, no? They are all living. Then what is the difference here? Saprophytic. In case of saprophytic, what are some common examples? What type of organisms are saprophytes? Yes, mushroom also. What type of organisms are saprophytes? Fungi. All the different type of fungus. What is that feature? We had already studied this concept, saprophytic, saprotrophic. So saprophytic, what is it? Saprophytic organism is dependent on, this is also mode, method. Organism is dependent on dead and decaying organism. Dead and decaying organism. Say suppose I talk about this mold. This mold is growing where? On the decomposing bread. The mold is growing on the decomposing bread. The rhizopus is growing on the moist and the decomposing leather items. Or if I talk about the mold is also growing, or the rhizopus is also growing on the decaying plant and animal matter. On the decaying body or the decomposing body of the animal matter, the decomposing body or the decaying body of the bird. So now in each of these cases, what are we understanding? What is common? Wherever there is decomposition, wherever there is decaying going on, now is the decaying being brought about by this fungus? Is the decaying brought about by the fungus? No. The decaying is brought about by bacteria, always remember. The decaying is not brought about by the fungus. The decaying is brought about by the bacteria, whether in the soil. I will talk about a dead pigeon on the soil, on the ground. I talk about a dead pigeon on the ground. After 3-5 days, I get to see that yes, it has started the process of decomposition. Decomposition has been brought about by the bacteria present in the soil. After now, another some 7-10 days, I get to see that some white colored thread-like structures, foul smell, the fungal growth is massive there. And along with the fungal growth and the bacteria, the process of decomposition is complete. The complex body or the nutrients of the body or of the dead organism is all broken down to simpler forms, dissolved and mixed with the soil. Decomposition is over. So is the decomposition being brought about by these organisms? No. Decomposition, breakdown of the complex plant body, animal body to simpler form brought about by the bacteria. Now that the complex body is broken down to simpler forms, the fungus find it a very suitable place to grow and absorb the nutrients. Then what is the difference between this method and then what is the difference between the mold and the leach? Can you tell me? Mold and leach, जो process they are showing, इसमें difference क्या है? Both are taking in nutrients from another organism. तो difference कहाँ पे है?
Living and mold is
One at a time.
Leech is on living and mold is on.
The leech is feeding on the living organism. All these organisms are feeding on the dead and the decomposing plant animal matter. जहाँ पे. Now I gave you an example of this also because this is very common. Now that I talk about now that the monsoon months, all of you must have seen. Monsoon months में you open your shoe rack, your cupboard, and then you get to see your leather items all having some white grain like surface, no? एक layer बन जाता है white. So what is that? That's all rhizopus. Now that you talk about any type of announcement, suppose whatever your mother has cooked today, whatever left, don't keep it inside the refrigerator. Just put it outside. Just put it outside. Keep it on your kitchen slab for at least 2-3 days. What will you observe? There'll be a foul smell. And in another 1 day time, you'll be able to see some cottony growth over there. Greenish or whitish in color. So what is that cottony growth that has developed on the bread or any type of a food? Because it is wet, moist, you see here, and the temperature, room temperature or regular temperature, very suitable for the growth of fungus. So what are these organisms doing? जहाँ पे decomposition हो रहा है, they will easily absorb nutrients from the decomposing surfaces. Clear? We'll write one difference now based on this, right? Differences, whenever you write, it should be written in the tabular form always. Difference between parasitic and saprophytic mode of nutrition. Difference between parasitic and saprophytic mode of nutrition. Difference between parasitic and saprophytic mode, make a table. Under parasitic mode, you write out in this method, organisms feed on the digested nutrients of a living host organism. Digested nutrients of a living host organism. Other side, saprophytic. In this mode or in this method, organisms can feed on and absorb organisms can feed on and absorb the soluble nutrients of the dead and the decaying organic matter. Organic matter can always be the plant and the animal matter, remember? Dead and decaying organic matter. Second point. For parasites, for parasitic mode, you write includes variety of invertebrates, and includes a variety of invertebrates and are without a well-developed digestive system. Vertebrate parasites are few. Majorly parasites are invertebrates. Other side, for saprophytes, they are unicellular or multicellular. And have simple tissue organization. They don't have even any organs and systems, nothing they have, only few tissues. And have simple tissue organization. Single cell, they can be unicellular or multicellular and have simple tissue organization. Don't put it in a point, but just write any two examples that I have just now given. For parasites, write any two examples. For saprophytes, write any two examples. But that will not be considered as a point, but you should always write. Check your spellings. 10th standard, you should not make any spelling error. Spelling mistakes should not be there, absolutely. Writing, presentation should be better. Check your answers, points, specific points, organize and write neat. Done? So the first part of the chapter was just an introduction to talk about what are the different methods of nutrition. What are the different methods we had studied? Autotrophic, heterotrophic. Two major methods of autotrophic we had studied, photoautotrophs, chemoautotrophs, and what is their major difference. Then we were talking about holozoic, saprophytic, and parasitic. Now, but then if you get a question, what is the difference between holozoic and parasitic, then what is the major point of difference you write? Holozoic and parasitic. What is your name? What is the difference between holozoic and parasitic?
In holozoic, the digestion takes place inside the body
of that organism. And in parasitic, what's happening? What did you write as a point? Are these organisms having a well-developed digestive system? Do they have a well-developed digestive system? Parasites, no. You have just now written that as a point. They don't have a well-developed digestive system. So can we write that they are capable of digesting food on their own? No. They are always dependent, that's why, on other organisms. This leech, it may be very much present on the surface of a leaf, on the bark of a tree. But this leech that I'm talking about, the leeches that I'm talking about, on the surface of the bark and the surface of the leaf, very much it may be present for a short period of time. But if it does not get in contact with a suitable host body and obtain nourishment from the body fluid of the host, then this organism will not survive for a long time. So though this organism can remain on its own or independent of the host body, can it remain alive independent of the host body for a long time? No, independent of the host body, they cannot remain alive for a long time. So remember, we had done in your notebook difference between this and this, but difference between this and this. Also, you may get in the exam difference between this and this. Also, you may get. So, what is the major difference between this and this method? Here, the organism is capable of digesting food on its own. Here, the organism is not. Here, the organism is always dependent on some other organism every time. Here, the organism is a very simple organism, always saprophytes. Always a simple organism without any organ, without any system, always associated with the decomposing surfaces. I talk about the mold again, not only the bread. You talk about the lemon. You talk about the sweet lime, the lemon. Did you ever observe that if this lemon is kept outside the refrigerator in 3-4 days, it develops a small round patch on its surface? The sweet lime, the oranges, or any other type of a fruit, if you check. Round patch first develops, and then the process of decomposition starts, and then the foul smell. It's all because of the different type of saprophytes. Anything to clarify from here? So, what type of questions? You will get questions. Majorly 1-mark questions from this. Differences, you will get examples to write. So, these are the basic type of questions you will get from here. Again, we go back to the concept of autotrophic mode. Now, in the concept of autotrophic mode, again we'll have to now study a detailed concept of the autotrophic mode of nutrition in case of plant, meaning the photoautotrophic concept. So if I start understanding the autotrophic mode of nutrition in case of the plants, or if I am talking about the photoautotrophic mode of nutrition, then what is the most common process happening in the plants? The most common process happening in plants is photosynthesis. Based on photosynthesis, now the basic concept of photosynthesis we'll have to study in detail. First of all is to understand the overall chemical reaction, which is very, very important for you. You should write and practice also so that you don't make any mistake, and it is always a 1-mark question in your paper. So 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 12 molecules of water. What are the other requisites? A specific pigment known as chlorophyll and sunlight. Is there any difference when I write up here and down? Nothing. Chlorophyll, sunlight. What is formed? A molecule of glucose. What else? Apart from a molecule of glucose, 6 molecules of oxygen and 6 molecules of water. 6 molecules of oxygen, 6 molecules of water. Based on this equation, so many concepts we'll have to learn here. I want all of you to write down this equation correctly in your notebook. Write on the topic head, photosynthesis. This is an elaborate topic that we're going to study, photosynthesis, and then write down the overall chemical equation. Write down the overall chemical equation of photosynthesis in your paper. This is what you are supposed to write down. Now, I consider a plant undergoing the process of photosynthesis. What is the requisite? The requisite definitely is the solar energy. But apart from that one, certain parts of the plants. Now, which are the parts of the plant that can undergo the process of photosynthesis? The parts of the plants, if I have to understand, which are some of the plant parts that can undergo the process of photosynthesis? Leaves, definitely. Apart from leaves? और कौन सा? Green stem, the young green stem. Yes, that also. So I would say which are the parts of the plant which can undergo the process of photosynthesis? Leaves hai, young green stem hai, young green stem hai. What else? Are you aware about this?
Yes.
Yes. And stomata is a small pore on the surface of the leaf. So if I talk about the cells of the stomata, what is this called? Guard cells. So I'm talking about photosynthesis. Where does it happen? So I would say in the guard cells of stomata also photosynthesis can happen. What are the sites of photosynthesis? The sites of photosynthesis are number one, leaf head, the surface of the leaf, definitely, the cells of the leaf, definitely. Apart from the leaf cells, we are also talking about the young green stem. I talk about a young plant. The stem is green. The stem did not still now develop the bark and etc. So the process of photosynthesis is happening there also. I talk about a green chili. Photosynthesis हो रहा है. Yes, I talk about the green peel of mango. Yes. As long as I talk about the part of the plant green with a specific type of a pigment there, photosynthesis can definitely happen. Always remember. The next part, after we are aware about the parts, the site. You get this question also in your paper as mention the site of photosynthesis. I'm sorry, not the site. Yes, site nahi. These are the organs. Mention the plant organs where photosynthesis takes place. Which are the plant parts? Organs of the plant. Site is different, I'll tell you. So now ye ho gaya. Now we talk about the raw materials. The entire thing is based on this chemical equation. This chemical equation you have to know it very nice. The next concept that we understand is the raw materials. Which are the raw materials necessary for the process? Carbon dioxide and water. Raw materials matlab the components which are this side of the arrow, the left side. So carbon dioxide and water. Now for carbon dioxide and water, what are you supposed to know? Carbon dioxide, from where is the plant getting the carbon dioxide? Yes. Majorly the plant is getting the carbon dioxide from where? From trees. The plant is getting the carbon dioxide from where? The plant को carbon dioxide मिल कहाँ रहा? From the atmosphere. From the atmosphere. Major source of carbon. What is the major source of carbon dioxide for a plant? Atmosphere. But it is getting the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Major part of the plant which helps in the process, leaves. But now, if I talk about this particular plant has got certain leaves now, say suppose these are the leaves, it has got leaves like this. What is the special structure involved in the taking in of carbon dioxide for a plant? Stomata. So I would understand that ये जो leaf है, on the upper surface few and on the under surface too many such type of pores are there. So if this is the under surface that I am showing, then I should be drawing so many such type of pores. And if this is the upper surface I am showing, then I will draw this many. To differentiate that the number of these pores on the upper surface scanty. Number of pores on the lower surface numerous. Then what are these pores I am talking about? The pores that I am talking about are stomata. What are stomata? Special pores on the lower surface of the leaf, on the surface of the leaf. Now, this because of the stomata. Now, if I have to understand the stomata, we have to also come in contact with, try to understand that what would be the basic section of a leaf there. What would be the basic section of a leaf? In case of any particular leaf that we talk about, the leaf will always have many layers of cells, depending of course on which leaf we are talking about. I talk about the tulsi, the number of layers will be much lesser as in comparison with the mango. I talk about the mango, number of layers will be lesser as in comparison with the other different type of leaves like the gourd leaves or the aloe vera leaves which are thicker. But then, what are these upper layers of cells known as? These upper layers of cells are known as epidermal. Epidermis तो skin में होता है, human में होता है. So when we are talking about epidermal cells, do you remember epidermal cells majorly what is their function?
Protection.
Protection. You had studied, no? Epidermal cells. Majorly these are called epidermal cells. Now, this cells, what is their special feature? These two types of cells that I have drawn. See here, one layer of cells I have drawn like this, tall pillar-like, and another group of cells I have drawn something cube-like, sometimes hexagonal. So, what is the special feature of this type of cells? ये सारे cells के special feature and what is their name first of all? The name of these group of cells are known as mesophyll cells. Now you'll have to turn to your textbook. देखो there's a similar figure in your textbook there. Which page? Which page is it? Section of the leaf and there's a diagram there. All of you should get your textbooks. Those of you have, bolo, which page it is? 82. That is figure number 5.1. Figure number 5.1. To refer, you get questions on that figure, on that diagram. Huh? So now, in this particular diagram, what are we trying to understand? This is the section of a leaf. Now, in this section of a leaf, what are the different types of cells? One, the uppermost layer and the lowermost layer. These are known as epidermal cells. These epidermal cells are not undergoing the process of photosynthesis. Then which are the cells which are undergoing the process of photosynthesis? The cells which are undergoing the process of photosynthesis are these. What are they called? Mesophyll. These are called mesophyll cells. So mesophyll cells में special क्या है? Mesophyll cells में special है. They are rich in chloroplast. Clear है? They are rich in chloroplast. What is chloroplast? It is a part of the plant cell organelle
Which contain
produce chlorophyll. Correct. So now that I talk about ये जो chloroplast है, are the epidermal cells having chloroplast? No, they have got a separate function altogether. So this group of cells, the mesophyll cells, are the ones which are concentrated with chloroplasts. And these are the site of photosynthesis. So what is the site of photosynthesis? Site of photosynthesis are the mesophyll cells. What is the reason? What is that special property? They are rich in chloroplasts. They are rich in chloroplasts. But basically, the type of cells, this and this also, there are separate names. They have always more number of chloroplasts. Photosynthesis सबसे ज़्यादा यहाँ पे होता है. So when I'm talking about the chloroplast, I'm saying that we were talking about that how does the plant get carbon dioxide? We had started from that concept saying that carbon dioxide is one of the major requisite of the process. But how will the plant get that carbon dioxide? The plant will get that carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, majorly by the way of the leaf. And if the leaf has a section like this, then majorly on the lower surface of the leaf, there will be some pore-like structure this way. And through this pore-like structure, the carbon dioxide will always get in. What is this process? I have to mention this process as diffusion. Is it diffusion? Yes. Carbon dioxide outside the leaf is always at a higher concentration than inside the leaf. So that's the reason carbon dioxide easily diffuses in. The carbon dioxide is easily diffusing in. Now the properties of the stomata we will learn later. As of now, you have to clearly understand how is the plant getting the carbon dioxide? By the process of diffusion. Through what special structures? Stomata. Where the stomata maximally concentrated on the lower surface of the leaf. So yes, these are some methods and features to understand. Let us talk about the next. The next requirement. What is the next requirement? The next requirement is water. The next requirement is water. Can you tell me which is the main organ involved, main organ of the plant which is involved in getting the water to the cells? Main organ is the roots. Which major tissues involved?
Xylem.
Xylem, very good. And what would be the process then?
Osmosis.
Osmosis. So ये है stem. So there is definitely, if I understand that these are the leaf cells where the process of photosynthesis is happening. So definitely there is a tubular arrangement of cells connecting these cells and the soil. So ये tubular arrangement of cells, what will we name this tubular arrangement of cells? Xylem. And if these are the root parts, how is the cell, how is the water entering the root cell? If these are the cells of the root, how is the water entering the root cell? The water is entering the root cell by a method known as osmosis. बताइए, what is the definition of osmosis?
Water molecules from region of higher concentration.
तो diffusion के साथ difference क्या है? हाँ. Understood. What was the definition of diffusion we had written?
Substance from higher concentration to
Movement of molecules of a substance, and I mentioned substance वहाँ पे it can be solid also. I gave you examples. Solid also, liquid also, gas also. Carbon dioxide, oxygen वो diffusion है. Sugar cube dissolving in water diffusion है. Ink drop dissolving in water वो भी diffusion है. But the moment I talk about osmosis, can I talk about the carbon dioxide, oxygen and the sugar cube? No, only water. So then osmosis की definition क्या है? Movement of water molecules from a region of high, only water molecules, huh? Movement of water molecules from a region of high concentration to soil में water ज़्यादा है and the xylem cells have got a lesser amount. So soil से water xylem के अंदर enter होता है. That's the reason. So water is entering from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. So यहाँ पे अगर मुझे लिखना है कि what is the process by which the photosynthetic cells get water? What is the process? Process is osmosis. Okay, so again try to understand these two requirements. We are talking about photosynthesis, and what am I mentioning? What are the two major requirements for the process of photosynthesis? The two major requirements, number one, carbon dioxide. By what process the plant gets carbon dioxide? Diffusion. Clear है? Major parts, leaf, major structures, stomata. How does the plant get the water? From the roots, from the soil, I'm sorry, by the roots. Tissues involved है xylem and method involved है osmosis. Clear? Now what next? We know now about the carbon dioxide and the water, which is very much necessary for the process of photosynthesis. Did you all take this diagram there in your textbook? Those of you who don't have the textbook, now that you are writing, please mark figure number 5.1, no?
yes.
And page number, that is?
82.
Page 82. Refer page 82, figure 5.1. Page 82, figure 5.1. That definitely you have to go through whenever you read this chapter. The next part, we have understood a little bit about carbon dioxide and about water. Now the next one that we have to understand is about the chloroplast. Can you tell me what is the difference between chloroplast and chlorophyll? Huh? हाँ, तो difference क्या लिखेंगे?
Chloroplast is organic, chlorophyll is a pigment.
Pigment. This is what you have to write as an answer. What is the difference between chloroplast and chlorophyll? Okay, now how does this chloroplast look like? If I have to draw a plant cell and then try to look into how does the chloroplast look like, the chloroplast almost like the shape of a mitochondria. The chloroplast is a double-walled, oval-shaped cell organelle. And what is the most important parts there? Major two parts we understand as of now. What are these? Anybody remembers? Thylakoid, very good. And stroma, correct. So I am trying to show exactly that only. So here, if this is the section of the chloroplast, Present only in animal cells or plant cells? Plant cells always. What are the two major parts? The section of this diagram you don't need, it will not be, earlier used to be asked, now it's not there in your portion anymore. But you should know the structure, because for the later parts of the reactions when we study, you'll have to understand, you'll have to remember which is known as what. So what did I draw here? The section of the chloroplast. What did I say? Chloroplast is what? Organelle. Chloroplast is an organelle in the plant cells. So if I draw the section of the chloroplast, it will be something like this. What does it contain? Some stacks of some disc-like structures, coin-like structures. So each of these structures, what are they known as? They are known as thylakoids. जहाँ पे chlorophyll synthesized होता है and they are stored. It's just like a small packet-like structure. Stacks of 12, 15 of them always. These are known as the thylakoids, where chlorophyll is produced and stored. So ये पूरा जो stack है, what will we term this entire stack as? This entire stack is known as granum, singular है तो. And if I have to name two of them together, then I will name it as grana. आया समझ में? So what is this stack of thylakoids known as? One stack of thylakoids, granum, plural है तो grana. And this entire matrix जो है, something like the gel-like substance, cytoplasm, you know. Already you have come across the concept of cytoplasm and the protoplasm of a cell. So same like that. The stroma that I'm talking about, same like that. So this ground substance is known as what? Stroma. Only this much. What are the two major parts of chloroplast? The two major parts of chloroplast? Grana and stroma. So where is the pigment chlorophyll produced? In the grana. In the grana. You don't have this word in your book, but this is extra to mention. If you want to write, you can write down, but this remains optional for you. It is not there mentioned, but only you should know about the grana and the stroma. Why to remember these two words? Because in the later part of the chapter, we are going to study the types of reactions of photosynthesis. So there you will have to understand this. Sunlight, only a specific amount of solar energy required for the process. We will talk about the stages now, first of all, before we start talking about the product. So far we had understood that carbon dioxide and water and chlorophyll are the major requisites for the process. But now, is it only one particular reaction which is involved in the entire process of photosynthesis to make the glucose? Definitely no. It is a sequence of reactions. Almost about 20-30 reactions taking place, one after the other. The product of one used as a reactant for the next. And it's a sequence of series of reactions. After a series of reactions, the product glucose we get. Some reactions taking place in the grana and some reactions taking place in the stroma based on the enzymes, etc. But now what I'm trying to approach is, we always feel photosynthesis, meaning light dependent, the entire process is light dependent. But are you aware, when we are talking about the process of photosynthesis, all the steps, all the reactions of photosynthesis are not light dependent. A set of reactions of photosynthesis definitely dependent on sunlight, but once the product of some few reactions are available in this cells, for example, another 10 reactions can definitely go on at night, early morning, when the intensity of sunlight is not adequate at all. What I told you just now, not to understand that photosynthesis, which is maybe now 20-30 reactions, it's an elaborate process. So these 30 reactions, are all these 30 steps dependent on sunlight? No. That's how we say that the entire process of photosynthesis can be again divided into two major phases, the light dependent reactions and the light independent reactions. So what do I understand by that? Light dependent reactions here, there are certain steps which can happen maybe only at 6 o'clock in the morning when the intensity of sunlight is adequate. But there are certain steps which can very well happen 11 o'clock at night also, 12 o'clock at night also, 3 o'clock early morning also, when the intensity of sunlight is not adequate, when there is no sunlight at all. This is one thing always to remember. Next is, I take a potted plant. I keep it inside my house, somewhere where sunlight does not reach. But there, I put some strong artificial light. Day, night, I put some strong artificial light. Will this plant show photosynthesis? Will this plant show photosynthesis? Sunlight nahi hai. I have put it in some place, in some room where sunlight does not reach at all. But I have kept some 3-4 lights like this, artificial light, strong light. Day, night it is on. Is the plant dying out or the process of photosynthesis still happening? Dying. At a moderate rate it will go, but the process of photosynthesis will not be as good as it would have been with sunlight. Yes, the process of photosynthesis will be at a much lower rate now. Can photosynthesis happen with artificial light? Yes, but at a much lower rate than compared to sunlight. Okay. So these are the two things that always to remember. So now, when I'm saying that, I just now mentioned two concepts about the light and also mentioning that this is just the final or the skeletal reaction that we are saying. There are so many steps, one after the other, happening and ultimately resulting in the formation of glucose. So these reactions, I've been just giving you a rough number, that 25 to 30 reactions, there are even more. So if I say that these 20-30 reactions, can we segregate them now into two? Yes, we can segregate them now into two. So what are the two phases of photosynthesis? We now learn what are the two phases of photosynthesis. The two phases are light dependent and light independent. So 2-3 differences you should know based on this. Light dependent, what does that mean? Where does it happen? What are some of its products? Only that much for you. So now I would say, what are the two phases? The two phases of photosynthesis, always to take it in a comparative manner. Always to take it as a comparative manner. So I would say the first is the light dependent phase. The light dependent phase. And the other side is light independent phase. All of you will make a table this way. Light independent phase. The light dependent phase and the light independent phase. Light dependent phase is also known as the light reactions. Light reactions. This is known as the dark reactions. Light independent phase is also known as dark reaction. Light dependent phase is known as the light reaction straight away. Now let us learn this basic 3 differences. The light dependent phase, where does it take place first of all? The light dependent phase always takes place here. What will you write? What is the site? Light dependent phase takes place. The first one you write. It takes place at the grana. Takes place at the grana. So what is the site of the light dependent phase? The grana. What about the other side, dark reaction? In the straw. Reactions, you don't have to study in the syllabus. Reactions, you don't have to study. Don't break your head understanding the reactions from any other reference book. It is absolutely not there in the syllabus. That's why we are not teaching you that at all. So, first of all, the location. Where does light reaction happen? Where does dark reaction happen? Second, number 2. All of you wrote this? Complete the point. The first point you write takes place in the granular, the other side takes place in the stroma. Come to the next. Light dependent phase of the light reaction, again I am talking about. When does it happen? Which part of the day? When does it happen? When does it happen? For the light reaction, only during the daytime. When the sunlight is there, adequate intensity of sunlight there. Only during the daytime. For dark reaction, what did I mention? All throughout the day, meaning day and night both. So here you will have to write day and night both or all throughout the day. Dark reactions takes place all throughout the day. Light reaction only during the daytime. Next is, the last is, what are some of the major reactions? Major reactions only by names you are supposed to know. What are some of the major reactions? What are some of the major products? Only that. So what are some of the major reactions, major products? Number one is activation of chlorophyll. Just two you write. You don't have to write all. Activation of chlorophyll. Formation of ATP. What is ATP? Energy molecule formed from mitochondria. ATP. Okay. Activation of, meaning the initiation of the process, activation of chlorophyll, formation of ATP, and what do we write this side? The reduction of carbon dioxide to form glucose. That much only. So here you are just writing that yes, some set of reactions can definitely happen at night, some set of reactions does happen all throughout the day. And what are some of the, there are many, few only you should know. There are some major steps that should generally happen during the day, or should happen during the day, does happen during the day. And what are some steps which happen at night? Now, all these three steps you will have to go through, learn properly. Now, next we come to, we have already been talking about this part, the set of reactions, the carbon dioxide, the water, the chlorophyll, and some set of reactions in general we had studied. Now we try understanding the products. What are some questions you get from this part? This is the product side we are talking about. What is this product? Glucose. Oxygen, water. Now say suppose you get a question in your paper. Name the prominent product, main product of photosynthesis. What do you write?
Glucose.
Only glucose. Name the products of photosynthesis. All you write. Then name the byproduct of photosynthesis. Only oxygen. Byproduct means important product, but in addition to the main product of photosynthesis. What was the definition of photosynthesis? Oh, I think we did not write the definition, right? We'll just wind up with this definition of photosynthesis. This side is again quite elaborate. We'll have to take up in the next class. Definition of photosynthesis. Now, at least you are aware what to write also as a definition. The biochemical process. The biochemical process in which green plants utilize. What do they utilize? Biochemical process in which green plants utilize what? Carbon dioxide and water. Utilize carbon dioxide and water, and in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. And in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. And in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, produce. What will you write?
Glucose.
Nice. Right. Produce organic food. It never produces proteins. Produces organic food, that is glucose. Just that much. Don't write proteins. In presence of Sunlight and chlorophyll produces organic food, that is glucose, always. Okay. Go through the first 2 pages of your textbook and of the volume, whatever I have discussed so far, and find out if there's any query you have. Anything? Go through, then maybe some doubts you will have.